Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Tara with Mayhem Crafty Cards, and today is the 6-month hop for Team Tiny. So this month's theme was Not Too Shabby. So I am using the Summertime Buddies stamp set, and I just used just a couple from this stamp set so far. I'm still playing around with it. My scan and cut is being not so friendly, so I did go ahead and cut out the ones that I'm using. So this is the card we're going to be making today, and I didn't put anything on the inside just yet, but I picked out the cat and the little dog floating, and it's going to sound really mean, but I cut off their feet so that they could float in the water. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take my Fawn cloud stencil, and if you guys know me, you know that I love doing my clouds. So this sheet right here is from Brutus Monroe. I just cut it down and laminated it so that I could use still use my inks on. I don't like using them on this self-healing mat because it does stain it a little bit. So we're going to start off with the ink on 3, and this one is Peacock Blue. And of course I'm using my rabbit hole brushes because I just can't get enough of them. So, and I do have 2 different ones. So I have one for distress and one for like the dye inks. Just because once you start blending them, once you put in a dye ink into a, excuse me, into a distress ink, the dye ink kind of like seeps into the distress. So I just have different brushes. So I'm just going to take just a tiny little bit of this, and I'm just barely going to tap it off. I mean, barely tap it off. And I'm just going to make some clouds. I wanted them to be kind of light because, you know, I want my cat and dog to be the forefront. So I'm just going to turn my stencil around. I probably didn't even need to do that to tap back into my inks. So with my clouds, what I do, because I do have a lot of people ask me how I, you know, blend them. So as you can see, like the top part is kind of dark, and then the second, you know, the next cloud is going to be a little bit lighter. So I take my brush and I just kind of go through and just barely, you know, go over those clouds again. So I'm just going to keep rotating my stencil, and it's just a habit that I keep going back into my colors. But with this brush, you don't have to do that. So yeah, this 6-month hop for Team Tiny, we all have, some companies gave us one stamp to do, or one stamp to use, some companies gave us a couple. And so I picked this one from Not Too Shabby. Just because, one, it's summertime here, finally, and I really like these little critters. So it's nice because you'll get to see other creators use the stamp set in a complete different way, which is super fun. I mean, who doesn't love having multiple uses for a stamp set? So that is all the clouds I'm going to do, because I'm going to be covering up most of this with my little waves. And I did go ahead and die cut those out. I used the Pink and Main scalloped edge for my waves because I don't have, for some reason, I don't have a wave die cut or stencil, you know, believe it or not. I mean, you could take your cloud stencil and kind of like flop it over, but for me, it's just easier just to find a different way to do it. So I'm going to put this one back, and I'm going to grab my distress ink. And I'm going to be using Mermaid Lagoon for my waves. And I want to keep them not so vibrant as well. I mean, I still want there to be a little vibrancy, but nothing like super dark, because they're waves in the ocean. And I don't mind that my wave is different color, you know, that still has the white in it, because it should be broken up a little bit. And I know I should probably be using Post-it tape to not get any ink splotches on here, but you know, it is what it is. So I have 3 different size waves cut out, and the last wave I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be adding sand. So again, it's just habit. It's so hard to break that habit of not tapping back in, which I didn't have to do, and I'm going to do that with the last one. I'm going to close my lid so I'm not tempted to get in there. And I just really want a really light blend with these, because like I said, you know, waves are not all blue. And I am actually using Bristol Smooth. I have fallen back in love with my Bristol. I was out of it for a long time, and I was finally able to get my hands on some. And it just blends so nicely. So as you can see, like, I did not tap my brush back in there. I'm just using whatever's left over on my brush to get these waves just semi-colored, because with this one, what I want to do is I'm going to keep blending down. And you know what? I am going to tap back into it because I just started using this brush yesterday. So there's not very much pigment left, you know, on the brush. But I'm going to blend it halfway down, and I want to leave a little white line, so I can put my sand there. And how I do my sand, believe it or not, is I use a mix between the Memento Desert Sand and the Simon Says Khaki. So, and I have a brush for these. Of course I do, because, you know, I'm just a brush Nazi. See, I used this one yesterday and you can barely see any of the ink on there. So I just rub it just a couple times, and I am just going to do just the bottom of the paper. And I'm going to build this one up because it's a dye ink, so it's, you know, a little, it's a little more difficult to blend no matter what brush you're using. And like I said, I just used these ones yesterday, so there's not very much residual ink on them. But it's nice to build it up slowly because, you know, you can add a little bit at a time instead of going in with, you know, a huge amount that you can't cover back up. And I'm not even tapping my brush off. I'm just going straight into my paper. So as you, I mean, you can see that it's building up very nicely. And this is just my base layer. This is not like the final, but I don't know if you guys can see. Oh no, what did I do? I got some on my wave. That's okay. But you can see that white line there. So I'm just going to darken it just a little bit more. And of course I would do that because, you know, why would I not? So I really want the corners to be a little bit darker than the center. And I'm just going to go ahead and blend this in. And I'm trying to make sure that I keep that white line in there. Like that. That's okay, because you know what that's for? Embellishment. So now I'm going to go in with my khaki from Simon Says Stamp. And I am just going to kind of, again, just stay at the bottom. I don't really want a whole lot towards the top because it's a dirtier color. That's how I like to think about it. It's a dirtier color. So I'm going to set these aside to dry. So you can see that nice gradient other than my boo-boo. I'm going to set my inks aside. I'm going to wipe off my mat and I'll be right back. Okay, so this is my color palette right here at the top. And I just use my Brush Maker Pro, the Karen markers, Kareen. I use neon yellow, neon blue, copper brown, amber. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that pink because it's going to be wrong. Turquoise. Oh, was my last one? I think that's it. Okay, so I just went ahead and put them down on my little makeshift mat. So for the cat, I'm going to use amber. And it's like this orangey, light orange color. And this is just some rough coloring because, you know, I like to think of this as a little cutesy kid card. Especially how I put it together. So I just do some rough coloring. Watercoloring, but this is all Bristol Smooth. So these markers I have found work best on the Bristol. I have tried my watercolor papers and it just doesn't, I don't know, I just have such a hard time with it. So I moved on to Bristol with this. And as you can see, like, they blend super nice. But yeah, so make sure you check everybody else out. It is a, I will have the whole lineup in my description box along with the products that I've used. So just be sure to check everybody out because, like I said, you know, we had a couple of stamp sets to choose from, and everybody, you know, a certain number of us picked the same set. So make sure you check it out because you'll get all kinds of, you know, great ideas. Like mine, I just try to keep it a little simple because I wanted to, at first I was trying to make an interactive card and I was getting so frustrated. So I was like, okay, well, this is not working. So I'm going to go ahead and finish coloring these in, just because there's no like real shading. It's really simple coloring. So I will be back as soon as I'm done. Okay, so funny story, my cat decided to jump up my desk and try to drink my clean water for my watercolor and knocked it all over the place. So yeah, but that's okay. I love my animals. So I went ahead and just ink blended another one of the ocean pieces, just because I couldn't get rid of that mark, and there was nothing I had that would cover it that would go, you know, be coherent with the card. So what I did was I added foam squares to the back of this little floating cat, and I want to put him like behind the one wave. So I did add foam squares to this one too. I found it was easier to use the squares instead of the tape, you know, the long tape, because it gave me more control on where I could place my little critters. So I've not added my foam tape to these ones yet. And so you can see I had to ink blend another background. But what I do to line them up, so I place them all in order, how I want them to be on my card. And then what I do is I will then grab all three pieces, flip them over, and see where I can put my other foam tape to where it kind of like butts up against each one. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my foam squares if I can find them. The good thing is though, during my little break I got my Simon Says box. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to place them down so that they kind of like butt up against each other, but still have a little bit of wiggle room. And once I place my first one, then I can kind of, you know, see where these all are going to go. And like I said, I like using these because I feel like I have more control on where I'm placing it than with the foam, the regular tape. So yeah, make sure you guys check out all the other creators on the Hop. We'll be doing this for the next 6 months. So we have August, which is going to be Courtney's kit from Ink and Expire, which I'm super excited to do. And then we have September, October, November. We haven't decided if we are going to do December just yet, just because it's a hectic month for everybody. But at the end of November, we are going to be doing a giveaway. So make sure that you guys subscribe and comment so that we can kind of, we'll have you'll have a better chance to win. And that way you guys can stay informed, because I know I've had a couple giveaways where I thought people were subscribed and they weren't, and it kind of nobody claimed their prizes, so it was a little, it's a little discouraging, because you know you want people to win, but when they're not subscribed and you post your video, then they don't know that they've won, and you just kind of are sitting and waiting. So I just ran out of my little foam squares. I'm going to go ahead and grab a couple more, and I may have to use, oh nope, here they are. Here we go. So it does get a little discouraging when you want to celebrate something and you know you're giving stuff away to people and they don't claim their prizes. So I'm actually going to be doing another draw on my channel because I haven't heard it back from my Sassy and Crafty one, my Sassy and Crafty winner. So yeah, so now I'm just going to go ahead and place this here, and I want to leave enough room for my little son. And in my other card, I kind of cut it off, which I wish I wouldn't have done. Like, I may just snip off a couple of these little pieces here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put this one down, so that way the next ones will line up super easy. And this is why I like these little foam squares, because this release, the release paper, oh, so easy, even with my nails, which will be getting done very, very soon. So I'm going to place my little cat here. And then I'm also going to place my larger one, because I need that one to be, well, I'm not going to place it, but I'm going to set it on here. Okay, so that's about where he's going to go. Okay, so now my little cat will sit there. So now it'll be easier to place this one, because like I said, it's going to butt up against the other one. And I'm not worried about the extra space down here. And as you guys can see, like, I just toss it. I clean it up later. I'm a messy crafter. So that, I mean, that's like super easy. Super simple. And now I will go down and I'm also going to add foam squares to my little dog too, but I want to get this bottom piece down just so I can see where I'm going to place him, because you know, you can kind of place him wherever. And then I will take the release paper off my little cat and get her glued down. So I just line up the very bottom edge. And there we go. So now I can put my foam squares behind this guy, and he's just going to float up a little bit. So let me take the release paper off this one. So yeah, it's be sure to hop along with us. It's a great, you know, you'll get a lot of great ideas. See how others use their stamp sets. Now see, with this guy, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to glue him down here just so that he will still be floating. So let me grab my glue, and I'm just using the art glitter glue. There she is, right in front of my face. And I'm just going to load that sucker up. Now, I had to be careful because on my first card, I'm sure you guys could see that I had too much glue. And then I am going to put a little foam square behind him just because I don't want him to, you know, flop off the card. So this was a super fun set. And of course, I did what I did the last time, and I forgot to stamp my sentiment before I glued everything down, but that's okay. I can use my ink block. or not my ink, oh my gosh, my acrylic block. So I'm going to pop my sun up too. There's a lot of dimension to this card, which I like. So I'm just going to place that there. So my sentiment is going to be floating by to say hi. And I'm just going to use some VersaFine Onyx black ink. Now hopefully this time I can do it. This is why I like using my Misty, because I shake so bad. Yay! It worked. So now I have these little starfish. Or, yeah, are they starfish? I'm just going to go with starfish. And I'm just going to put these randomly on my card, just to add a little something extra to the bottom. So yeah, that's about it for my card. I'm just going to put it on my card base, which is an A2 size card. And that will be it for me for today. So yeah, make sure you guys hop along. I will have the next person on hop listed in my description box, along with the rest of the hoppers, because I know you guys, it's easy to get lost in the hop. So yeah, I just got to glue into my card base, and that's it. So I hope you guys like this card, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.